Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 and thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Matthew. This is MattTv, and I'm on the road in South Surrey at the Peace Arch Hospice Society. And before I say any more, welcome to the broadcast. The phone is quite a ways away from me, so I will not be able to answer any questions. I don't have my laptop with me, but what I do have is beautiful Beth Kish, who is the executive director of the Peace Arch Hospice Society, and to my left, you're right because everything is flipped around, Lori Ishikawa, who is the community event coordinator for Peace Arch Hospice Society. And there's a big event coming up here in early May. We're going to talk about that, but I'm just so excited to be in this facility. It's so nice here, and thank you so much for joining me on MattTv.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So, we're just going to have some fun here at MattTv. My viewers know that MattTv is, tonight we're going to use it as an educational platform. I've been doing this for a year and a half, and Zuckerberg created Facebook and created Facebook Live. I've created MattTv, and it's just an opportunity for whoever has something going on in their life, if they want to speak about an organization or something that they're very fond of, this is your opportunity to do so. So that's what we're going to do. So thank you for Lori getting in touch with me. We actually, we met a few months ago at the Parkinson's Walk. Yes. So, planting seeds here and there, and then you get a phone call, and we just spoke by phone here a couple days ago, and this is the first time we've met.
Yeah.
So far so good.
So far so good.
So far so good. So let's just talk about, we are in South Surrey,
yes.
And this is a new facility here. So just tell our audience how this amazing facility came to be.
Okay, well, just to take it a little back, actually a lot back further, the Peace Arch Hospice Society has been serving this community for over 35 years. So pretty amazing. They started with a small group in the basement of the United Church, just some concerned citizens that knew we needed support for people that were facing a terminal illness or were grieving the loss of someone they love. So it started there. They ended up purchasing a home on Russell, an older house, I think probably built in like the 70s maybe. It's one of those split levels. It was pretty rough. And when I joined the society about 4 years ago, that's where our office was. And we are the Hospice Society, where we support those that are grieving the loss of somebody. We're not the hospice residence where people go to pass away in their last days. But we do support that facility, the residents. So it's kind of two facilities. So we were in this old house, and it was flooding, and it was not wheelchair accessible. There was just tons of things wrong with it. And we knew that there was going to be a new hospice residence built by the end of 2019, 15 beds. And we wanted to build a building that's near that new residence, because before we could walk across the street to the hospital, which is where we have 7 beds now. So we built this building because we want to be close to the new residence. And the idea there is that when people want grief support, a lot of times if they lost a loved one in the hospice residence, they could receive the best care ever, and they always do. But they don't want to walk back through those doors for anything. And so they don't want to go there for grief support. That was such a traumatic time in their life. So it's great that we're located just close enough that our clinical counselors and our volunteers can walk to the hospital, to the hospital residence, and we can be off-site for those that want to come visit us here. So we built this building because we needed to build it. We raised the money in the community and built it, purpose-built, designed to have counseling rooms that are soundproof, to have large meeting rooms, to have small meeting rooms, to house our staff, our very small staff of 8 people. And that's why we built it, because we needed a new building. So how we got it built was through the community. This community is amazing. And we were able to sell our house on Russell. And then, so that gave us a chunk of money. Then we went to our community groups, like Rotary is just like amazing. The Elks Club, Knights of Columbus, tons of
Those organizations always seem to step up to the plate, don't they?
They're like the best of the best people. You just, you know, you go in there and they say, can you tell us what you do? And they raise money and they give it to people that they feel deserve a hand up, you know. So they've been just amazing. They not only gave us money in a lot of cases, but they gave us sweat equity. So Rotary came in and built a pergola in the backyard and benches, and they're building a playhouse for our children that come here, because we have specially trained staff that deal with children's grief. And it's a playhouse, and they do all kinds of things like that. Then there was community members that gave us gifts in kind. So like King of Floors donated all the flooring. Well, that's a huge ticket item. You know, so we were able to go in, pick exactly what we want, and and the irony was, he said, I think I know some kids that are getting counseled by you right now. And it was like, yeah, they are. And then the lighting was donated by a few places like Pacific Lighting, Ocean Pacific, and Cusco, I think it is lighting. We had a gentleman step forward and donate 2 fountains and all the artwork on the main floor. The Sully Group, LK Developments, stuff like that. So I, you know, could go on and on about the community. Then there was people just stepped forward, gave us money, and that was huge. Another way we raise money and continue to raise money is we have a thrift store. So that's really cool because it's a separate social enterprise that we run, and we have 4 paid staff there part-time, and then all volunteers run it. It's such a cool thing because it hits all the points, because it's recycling, it's reusing, reinventing, so it's helping our environment, it helps our community, it helps those that are looking for a better price on something. And so a lot of the community goes to donate their things there, their older things, and we resell them. So that earns us a lot of income annually. So that's a big thing too. Yeah.
Is it stressful being the executive director? Or do you go to sleep at night giddy because just so many, you know, just the lighting and the floors, everyone's pitching in? One thing about hospice, if you work in hospice or you volunteer in hospice, the biggest gift that you learn is gratitude. And when I leave here and when I lay my head down at night, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for my family, for each day, for all the things that I'm able to do because I am still alive and can do it. And you learn gratefulness. And that's my most favorite feeling in the world. Well, the 2 best words are gratitude and love.
Yeah, well,
those are the 2 best words.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the volunteers quickly. Actually, let's talk. There are a bunch of teenagers in this building right now. What's going on here right now?
Okay, right now we have a teen group on right now. Now, these are teenagers from high schools and junior highs around here that have volunteering their time. Because we have 2 kids camps a year for children that have lost, some of them have lost siblings, parents, and they're between the ages of 6 and 12. So these kids are coming out today to learn how to talk to children about grief and learn how to support them in that role. And they come out here and they volunteer, and we give them all these scenarios, and so they know how to do it. Then when the kids camp comes along, we also have adults that work at that kids camp, adult volunteers. And for each child that comes to our camp, we have an adult and a teenager that supports them the entire weekend. So it's 2-on-1 for our camp. Of course, nobody pays for our camp. No, they're all free. All our volunteers are free.
This is a not-for-profit charitable society.
Anything we provide is free of charge. We have never, and I'm very proud to say, we never ask for anything from somebody who's grieving. When you've lost someone or you're anticipating the loss of somebody, it's all about giving them some peace. And part of peace is no financial stress. So they don't come here like they've just been through the most traumatic time of their life, and how much is this going to cost? Because I need help. It's going to cost you nothing. Just come here, let us help you. So it's great.
You have all these people coming in that need help. You're not charging. Where's the money coming from? Well,
I apply for grants all over the place. So we have a gaming grant that we have been fortunate to get every year. We get about $50,000 from Fraser Health every year. Then we get money from the community. We're out there raising. We have fundraising events. And we have our thrift store, which raises a lot of money. So I'm always sort of out talking to people to tell them what we do, because still a lot of people are learning, like, what is hospice?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? Once they understand what we do, it's an easy cause to get behind, because it's not something that might affect you. It's going to affect you.
Mm-hmm.
We all die.
Yes.
So it's a conversation that you can have with people that they get, and then fundraising events, which Lori is heading up. Our next one's coming up is Hike for Hospice,
Mm-hmm.
May 6th. And we have the major events are Hike for Hospice, Celebrate a Life is just before Christmas, where you put a tree up in the mall and people come and put a loved one's name on the tree. Then we have Hospice Hoedown, which is a Western dance, which is going to be on August 11th.
Yeah.
And so there's Hoedown, Hike, Celebrate a Life. And then we have third-party fundraisings like Holiday Home Tour. Now they put on this organization, which Laura's involved with, and they raise money, and they've chosen us as a charity. So stuff like that.
Okay. Let's switch over to you just for a couple of seconds. And just tell us a little bit about this walk that's coming up May 6th, because it's National Palliative Care Week,
Yes.
May 6th through 12th, and that's across the country.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
May is Hospice Month.
Yeah.
Hospice Month, okay.
So we have it on the first Sunday of every May, and so it's May 6th this year down at Crescent Beach and at Blackie Spit, and it's beautiful down there.
It is very
I
nice
just
down
walked it
there.
yesterday, and it could be a 1K, a 3K, or a 5K. We have like a kids craft table. We have a hot dog cart. We can bring your dog for a walk. We have like seniors. We've had people in wheelchairs go on the walk, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, I started about 2 years ago, this is going into my second year, and I didn't realize that there were so many people coming to this walk. I think we had about, between 250 and 300 last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And it's a real family day.
It is a
Like,
family
people come
day.
in with their dogs
Yes,
and
yeah.
strollers and
Yeah.
sit on the grass.
Mhm.
And it's really
It's
nice.
really nice.
And some people walk in memory of somebody
Yes.
they love.
Mm-hmm.
So, or that somebody's that's passed away.
Do you have, Peace Arch Hospice Society, you have a goal that you're trying to reach financially with this walk?
As
Or-
much as possible.
Or as much as possible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and this year we're trying to promote the team, so we have a lot of realty companies coming on board this year, and I think we have 7 signed up so far of local realtors, and they're coming under the banner of Realtors Care. So they're all going to, with their own realty companies, they're coming with teams. So last year, I think one of our biggest teams, there was 20 on a team from Sutton, and this year we've got like 7 other realty companies in the community that are joining us. So.
Are you always trying to be innovative, trying to attract different
Yes.
groups and different people to the walks?
Like to change up all the events and help, because if it stays the same all the time, then it's you lose interest. It's like when we were doing the galas, we try to change it up every year. So.
When you as the executive director, do you go to conferences to meet other executive directors from hospice societies around BC?
What I do is we call it the Hospice Advisory Committee, and there's 11 hospice societies in the Fraser Valley.
Okay.
And all of the executive directors meet quarterly. And I just love it because we share ideas and we help each other. And it's a real a group where you don't go with, your papers shielded and we're doing a fundraiser here. But it's like this open book of how can I help you? We did this. Don't do this. So they're all just great
brainstorming
people.
and
They're just great.
collaborating and
Amazing people.
the volunteers.
Oh yeah.
Like before the show started, we were talking about the types of people that would be best suited for this environment. I can scratch my name off the list just because I said that I get too attached.
Yeah.
So what types of people are volunteering here, and what's the process that you go through to screen to make sure that the right people are in here?
Well, we get a lot of people that volunteers. We actually never have to go searching for them, which is pretty amazing. A lot of people that have had a loved one go through hospice want to volunteer here. They've seen what we do. They want to be a part of it. They recognize the importance of it. A lot of our volunteers come that way. what we do, if they do come, often if they come from a recent death, we actually say you have to wait a year.
Okay.
Because they're kind of still in a vulnerable state. So we say, come back in a year and we'll talk. And then we do an interview process. And we talk about, like, why do you want to do it? And, you know, is this a good fit for you? And if you take the training, which is, the level 1 training is 33 hours of training. It's very intense and very emotional. And some people will, after the training, go, you know what? Not for me. Can't do it. But you could volunteer as a receptionist here at the office. You could volunteer at the thrift store. We have all kinds of areas to volunteer. So it doesn't mean necessarily that you're not going to volunteer with clients. It is a special kind of person that does that. And they volunteer with patients. They have shifts at the hospital. So we have 3 shifts a day at the hospice residence. And our volunteers come in and we go room to room and we just share time with them and companion people as they're passing. So in some cases they, you know, might be a hobby that they do. You know, maybe they do a puzzle, maybe they like to knit. We'll get a volunteer in there and do it with them. Some of them, sadly, the people in there don't have anybody. And
that is sad.
It's very sad. And you have to remember too, like, all the people we support aren't necessarily in the hospice residence. We support all of them, and then we support their families with grief support after. But we support, if there's a sudden death in the community, there's a little girl who passed away just recently, a young girl in grade 2. We went in and talked to that grade 2 class, and we have a whole program that we put on for that class called The Cycle of Life. And our clinical counselor who's trained to work with the children goes in and does that, all free of charge. But teachers often don't have the tools of how to deal with that. How do you explain to a bunch of kids, their 7-year-old friend passed away? You know, it's a real tough. So we get called, we do that. Suicides, murders. We went into offered sports teams after the recent bus crash.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're saying, if anybody, you know, you're on sports teams that are struggling, we'll come in and work with them. Give them some, you know, just talk to them, talk them through it.
Do you find that some people just get upset by, well, like you just said, people, they not necessarily have any ties to any of the players on that bus, but it just hits them so hard that they need help?
It happens all the time. Something will trigger some trauma in their life, you know, past like another group that maybe they never dealt with. And we always say there's no time limit on grief. Somebody thinks that, a lot of people think, oh, well, you know, it's been a year since my husband died. I'm not going to go for help now. That would be silly. It's too long. It's never too long. Could be 5 years. Could be 10 years. So often after a loss, people are so busy with funeral arrangements, getting everything organized, changing their life, selling their house, doing stuff. And they think, geez, I'm handling this pretty well. I'm getting things done. I'm taking off the box. And then all of a sudden one day, something hits them. Hot water tank goes off. You know, breaks. Their husband would have maybe helped them. And they break down. And they know they need help. And it's tough to do when you need help, make that phone call. But, you know, they do it and we're here to help them. And for those, that's why we have to let people know, like, reach out for help. We'll let you know where we are and how we can help, but just make that call and we'll be there.
Because I think if people don't deal with their grief, like you said, it'll bubble up into something else later in life, and that's not productive for them either.
Not for them or the healthcare system. I always say the work we do is preventative in nature, and the fact that if you don't deal with your grief, you could have relationship breakdown, anger management, financial challenges, because you can't go to work or you don't feel up to going to work. There's so many things that pile up. Then you're in the health system for other reasons, in the social system, looking for support. Whereas if we are able to help those people and keep them on track and help them cope through that time, they can be back in the community as productive human beings and without it going that way. But I sort of got off track, but I want to say about the volunteers, because they are the heart of hospice. So our volunteers, we have so many programs and stuff. One of the cool ones that I just find amazing is our vigil team. So vigil is where we stay with somebody that's dying, and usually in the last 72 hours of their life. They're often in a senior's home. Because often in senior homes, the staff don't have time to sit with the person that's dying. Often they have no family, so that the lodge or seniors home, care home will call us, and we have a vigil team that is scheduled for 4-hour shifts, 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, midnight, 3 in the morning, we have people ready to go out.
Wow.
And we go into, say it's a seniors home, just to hold their hand, so that nobody should die alone.
Mm-hmm.
So we stay with them. Part of our little kit we have is we bring a journal, we bring battery-operated candles, we bring soft music, and we just sit and we do whatever feels appropriate for that person, if they're coherent or if they're not, just to make it a gentle, beautiful atmosphere. And we record anything they say or do in that journal, because often the family, if they do have family, they're so exhausted. Like, I can't stay here anymore, need some help. Say, don't worry, we'll be there. And if anything is, but then they're like afraid they're going to miss something. What if they reach out? What if they say? What if they go to coherence? So we record everything. And then we do 3-hour shifts until they pass away, or until the family can step in. So that's that's just one of our group of volunteers.
When I was reading through the notes that you sent me, one of the things that I mentioned was in that situation where someone is in their last days, their last hours, because we're all energy and we're all operating on a different frequency. So it's beautiful that you have a team that can go in, and in those last moments you are raising that individual's vibration just a bit higher, so that they are passing, peacefully. And
yeah, and we come in at the level that, they say in hospice too, you gotta leave your ego at the door, because it's not about you. You get to not be about you, and it is only about them. Mm-hmm. This is their journey. You meet them at wherever they're at. So whatever their spiritual beliefs are, whatever their feelings are, it's about them. So you never bring I believe this, you never do that. So this is where all the training comes in. So it's all about just being present and allowing the person to be and say what they need to say, and opening up that room and that space for that to happen. I'll just tell a quick story, but I was with a volunteer once who was training, and it showed, I had to sit, explain to her why she couldn't do what she did. So we're with this man, and he's in his bed, and he's talking about, he's a volunteer myself, he's talking about, he's a big, tough kind of guy, had a construction company, and yeah, I did this and did that, stuff like that. And it's like, that's who he was, right? And then he was talking about, he started talking about his daughter, who lived in Nova Scotia. She had come out to see him, but she'd gone back now, and that would be the last time he would see her. And he started getting sort of weepy and soft, and talking about his love for his children, and his love for, the people in his life, and what he will, remember, and what brings him joy. And he started crying. And the one thing the volunteer did was, just because volunteers want to help, it's like she reached and grabbed a Kleenex and handed it to him. That's one of the things you learn. It's like, she just wanted to help him. But of course he went, so anyways, stepped out of his moment, So it's really a talent to be with people that are dying and allow them to feel whatever they're feeling and express it, and not jump in and not try and fix it and not try and save them. You just have to let it happen. It's kind of a weird story, but it kind of explains how I say to volunteers, the toughest thing you'll ever do is nothing. Because you just do nothing. Yeah. Just be present.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So there are 7 beds at the hospital, and there's going to be 15 in the new facility just down the road.
That's right.
With an aging population, is that enough?
I'm a big believer that you don't want it ever bigger than that. Hospice is about providing a home-like environment for people to be in. As soon as you start making it bigger, it becomes less home-like. I think it is enough. There's going to be times where there's wait lists, and there's going to be times when all the beds are full. We can't figure it out for everything. The way hospice works is if you had a terminal illness, you have a palliative care team that's watching over you, and through Fraser Health, and they're amazing people. And they, at the right time, will give the opportunity to bring up the idea of, have you thought about hospice? Because if you're hospice appropriate, you're 6 or less months to live.
Mm-hmm.
And often it's that time that they go, they're like, oh, hospice, no, I don't want to do that, you know. But they have to remember, too, that their families are exhausted. You know, I can't tell you how many times that I had a wife or husband, whoever, come into hospice, and they get to just be there. And they're no longer the pill pusher, keeping house, receiving guests at the door, trying to manage all that stuff. They just get to look through photo albums, talk, be together. And they said, you know, they'll say something like, you know, I finally just feel like I just get to be his wife, you know, instead of the pill pusher and all that stuff. So many people say, I wish we'd have come sooner, because it takes all the stress away. But I forgot why I started that conversation. So hospice, like it's you know, you can go into hospice. The palliative care team helps you and tells you all about it and whether you're suitable or not.
What are some of the, and you both can chime in on this, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about a hospice society?
I would say that some people think that it's only for cancer patients. Certainly is not. It's for anybody that is facing a terminal illness, whether it be heart disease or whatever, ALS, many things. That it costs money, you know. That it's religious-based or faith-based. It's not. There's no judgment. There's no... I don't know if you've heard of any myths that...
Not myths, but I think before I started here, I didn't know enough about hospice myself. So when I started was at the Russell Avenue house.
And what was it that brought you there?
Well, my brother-in-law had passed away, and my daughter was 5. And she kept asking me questions, and then so I thought, I'm going to take her up to the hospice house. So we walked in, and they gave her a book, and it was called When Uncle Bob Dies. She's 24 now, and she still has the book. But I used to put it in the back seat in my car, and she'd read it, and it helped her. And I always remember that, and that's why when I was working full-time, I thought, when I retire, I want to help out at hospice. And because I learned a lot from that, and now every day I'm here, I learn way more about hospice that I had no idea. So, and I grew up here in the community, and a lot of people that I knew that grew up here, we don't know enough about hospice. And now I'm learning, and I'm trying to spread the word, and just with the local community, the people that I know. Because we're kind of shocked about how much, I didn't know all the programs for kids. And I probably would have put my daughter in something like that years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Or myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we have teen drop-in groups. Right now, the teens have left for the evening, and their parents pick them up or whatever. And now we have a grief group, so people in the community, just adults that have lost someone. So that's going on in the next room. Before we had this facility, we used to have to go rent space or borrow space in the curling rink and the Elks Hall and stuff. And, you know, I always think of the parents that used to have to drop off their kids at that icky old house that was half flooded and horrible. And as a parent, it's like, I'm so glad they get to drop them off at this clean, beautiful, state-of-the-art facility, know that their kids, you know, are in a safe place. So it's really cool.
Off camera, we were talking about government grants. And your son, his name is Grant. And you're going for government grant. What's that process like? Can it be frustrating?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but I can understand that they do it. I love the idea of being accountable, and that the government makes us accountable for the money we take from the taxpayer. I mean, it's, you know, you and I that put money in that coffers, and so I have no problem with justifying that and them demanding that I do justify it. So we account for every penny that we spend, and you know, what we ask for is what we need. You know, so it's not, you know, I feel good about it. I think they're doing their job, you know, and I get that, you know. But filling out, we get grants from other organizations too, and other organizations have, what they'll do is they'll set a criteria for their philanthropic work for the year. So maybe it's based on, it has to be children focused. So then I'll like, okay, well, we'll talk about our camps. You know, it'd be great to get them funded. A recent one we got from Envision was they wanted it about volunteers. So they gave us a grant to pay for our volunteer training, the meals so we were able, because normally we can't afford to feed people, and it's always nice to feed people. So Envision had all the meals, their snacks paid for, and all of that in their meeting, and we were able to actually host a catered dinner at the end, which was really nice for our volunteers, because our volunteers are so great. They don't want anything. They're like, no, you can't. It's hard to reward them because they're like, no, I don't do this for the reward. I get so much back anyways. But we still want to do nice things for them, but they don't want to spend money on them. So if you get a grant, you can say, but it wasn't really us. These guys did it. Then it's nice. Yeah.
Is this facility here open 24 hours or?
No, we're just standard office hours unless we have meetings on, which is, weekends we have camps, and evenings we have some meetings during the week. So we just go with whatever we need to. So, but because volunteers facilitate a lot of the groups, they do one-to-one companioning, like in somebody's home. So say somebody's terminally ill at home, or somebody's grieving at home. There's an elderly woman that's lost her husband, but she can't get out. We go to the house. So these volunteers are trained to be with those people and support them through that grief. So we also have paid clinical counselors, 2 of them, one specializing in children's grief. So they train them, and we have a coordinator of volunteers, and she does all of the interviewing and all of that. It's quite a rigorous and diversified way we do things, and groups that come forward, but we try to find a place for them. And they're always just the nicest people you ever met. So I always say that's another reason I like my job. It's like, who gets to be surrounded every day by the nicest people you ever met? Because that's who comes here.
Excellent. And May, the next couple of weeks, like everyone's getting excited for the month of May and the walk happening on May 6th.
And we're also having a public open house at this facility on May 12th from 1 to 4. And it's just a chance for the community to come and see the facility. We're going to have volunteers touring them around, and we'll have cake and coffee. And because, I always feel like, I went out there and raised the money to build this building, but the community built this building, and the community owns this building, and it's here for them. So that's who, we want to make sure they're familiar with it. They know what we do. It's their building, and we work for them. So, so we're excited about that. Mayor Hefner's supposed to be here, as well as Mayor Baldwin, because we're bridging the two municipalities. And then what's really cool is the founder of the Hospice Society, her name is Teresa Hotel, still volunteers with us today, and she will be cutting the ribbon.
Oh, very nice.
So that's really cool. She still volunteers.
And that's on May 12th. So that's at the end of the week long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nationally and regionally, locally, do you think people know enough about the Hospice Society and the goings on?
I don't think they do. I don't think people, like so many times, if it doesn't affect you or you've never been around it, you don't learn about it. But it's spreading fast, and I think, like my background, how I got into hospice was, I'm actually an interior designer, and I had a store, and when you own a store, you get asked for donations all the time. So my business partner, I said, well, you pick a charity you like, and I'll pick one I like, because we just get asked too much. So I picked this lady coming, she goes, well, I'm raising money to build a hospice. And I said, well, what is hospice? And that's how I got involved. And I was like, that's hospice? That's what you do? So
how many years ago was this?
That would have been probably about 10 years ago.
Because you've served as executive director with other hospice societies.
Yeah, I was 4 years here, and I was a year at Surrey Hospice Society, and then 3.5 years at the Foothills Country Hospice, which is located just south of Calgary, between Okotoks and Calgary.
Okay.
So I had a business in Alberta, and I helped raise the money to build that hospice. And then they asked me if I would become the executive director. And I had sold my business, and I was like, yeah, I would do that.
Is it fair to say that each individual hospice society is the same but different?
That's
You know what I
fair
mean?
to say. They are, because they, like some hospice societies, like Delta, they run their own hospice residence. So they have, they own the beds, the building, the everything. We won't have that because Fraser Health will be renting that facility, and they provide the medical care, and then we'll provide the psychosocial care. So they have different, different objectives, different budgets, everything. When I ran the Alberta Hospice, I had 8 beds. I ran the entire thing. And that meant that I had 52 staff, most of them medical. I had a kitchen, I had housekeeping, I had maintenance. I was running a small hospital. So it was a totally different job. Here I'm running the society side, which is based mostly on the grief and bereavement and the support at the hospice residence. So everyone though is different, and yet you're right, we're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're all achieving the same goal. We all have this similar mission statements, and that we support those at end of life, and we all believe that nobody should die alone, and nobody should be left alone with their grief.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the philosophy that we all base on.
Before we'll wrap this up here in the next few moments, but let's just talk quickly again, just to let everyone know what's happening locally here in Crescent Beach for the walk.
Okay, so we're taking online registrations right now, and we're hoping to get 300 or more people this year. Crescent Beach on May 6th, Sunday, May 6th. It starts at 9 o'clock, the registration, and it only goes till about 12 o'clock, so it's a fast day. And it could be a 1, 3, 5, or some people run twice, I think, if they're runners. They do a little 10K, I think. But
Don't we give away hats this year?
we're giving away hats, hospice hats, and water bottles, and hot dogs. It's a family event. It's it's great.
Yeah, I think I'll come down to that for
You
sure.
should.
Yes,
Good.
I will be down. What we'll do at the end of this broadcast, because people are leaving comments, if there are any links that you would like, and maybe people have been asking questions, I don't know.
Yeah.
But when this broadcast is over, I'll post it like I always do. And maybe when you have some free time, I don't know how much free time you have, over the next couple days, if there's any questions on there, maybe you can just write back to people.
Sure.
But we can definitely put up links. And people, I'm encouraging people all the time to do your own research. Just don't take my word for it, or the ladies that are sitting here. Just do your own research and find
go to our
more than one
website.
source. Yeah.
Go
Go
to
to your
our
website.
website.
Yeah.
Can I just add one more thing too?
Yes.
Okay, back to the volunteers. Okay, so I just sort of remember when people come here for help, everybody grieves differently, right? So there's all these programs. So we have a walking group that's every Friday. We have relaxation therapy, where we have volunteers that do therapeutic touch. We set up, there's a bed, quiet area, music. We do therapeutic touch to relieve stress. We have walking groups, relaxation groups, we have our vigil group, we have teen grief groups, adult grief groups, and then we have, in the supportive care center, we have a resource library. So if you want to come in and you just want to look in our library and sign out a book, you'll get a lot of information there.
Okay.
So and all of this is like our volunteers make all this happen and make it possible. Our staff is amazing, but we're very small, dedicated staff, but it's the volunteers. I just want to say it to the volunteers.
Yeah, just like you two ladies, like I said from the very beginning, and off camera before the show started, it takes a special type of human to do the work that you two ladies are doing.
Yeah. Well,
Like you just have to be full of so much love that this is what you're doing. This is your outlet.
yeah. It's just, the reward is immeasurable. I mean, when I first started hospice, I had to go home and tell my teenage kids back then, be thankful, be grateful, be kind.
Mm-hmm.
You will never regret being kind. I could take lessons home every day and tell them stories that, now they're in their late 20s and they're like, they both do charity work.
Mm.
and full-time jobs because their life doesn't feel complete without it. And so talk about a reward, a job. I mean, wow.
You have a
Teaching our
great job.
kids.
Yeah, no, that's just teaching everyone, teaching everyone about. But you're right. I mean, when I get up in the morning, I'm thankful for the fact that I get up in the morning, that I can blink my eyes, that I can take a breath, that I can walk. Like gratitude and love. It's just, you'll get so much farther in life having those two words right in the forefront of your brain.
Yeah. Well, our volunteers are the epitome of kindness and generosity because they give without receiving anything in return except, you know.
What age range are we, like, what's your, like, oldest volunteer and your youngest volunteer?
We have a volunteer that volunteers are in their 90s. Wow. And we have volunteers that are, and with working with clients, you have to be 19. But we also have teen volunteers that work at our kids' camp, so it's the whole range. You know, we find a lot of people though after they're retired, you know, put in a lot of, you know, more hours. So probably that retired age group is the most active.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anything in closing, ladies? Give you one more opportunity to say anything.
No, just thank you for doing this. I mean,
Oh,
the more
you.
people we can reach out to let them know we're here to help them and that it's okay to talk about. It's a good thing to talk about, and we really appreciate this opportunity.
And it doesn't, you know, for radio, for TV, you're looking at, you know, that would cost you thousands of dollars.
We couldn't do it.
And print would cost you, this totally free. You gotta love the internet. You gotta love Facebook.
Well, some charities, we love it.
Yes.
But I want to thank Lori Ishikawa. She is the Community Event Coordinator for Peace Arch Hospice Society. This is Beth Kish. She is the Executive Director of Peace Arch Hospice Society. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to end this broadcast, and I'm going to have these ladies sign. I brought my Canadian flag here, the MattTv Canadian flag, so we'll get up to 280 signatures. And then I'm going to put it in the mail tomorrow, and it's going to a surprise destination. Only one other person knows where this flag will end up in the next couple days. Thanks for hanging out. We will post this immediately. Share it. If there's one thing that you can do with this video is just share it, share it, share it. My name is Matthew. This is MattTv. Now and always from sea to sea. And I'm going to reach up here and turn it off. Have a good night.